Je veux vous parler de la Guyane.
I want to address the Guyana issue. French Guiana is in bad shape. It is in such bad shape that Mrs. Royale, who was on an official visit, had to run away, afraid of having to take on the responsibilities of an ineffective administration. For almost a week now, Guyana has been paralyzed. For almost a week, Cayenne, Kourou and Saint-Laurent-du-Maroni have had to endure blocking barricades. For almost a week, our space center has stated that rocket launching is postponed. For almost a week, planes have been forced to do half-turns or to be rerouted to neighboring airports because they can no longer land in Cayenne. For almost a week, the overseas minister hasn't done anything better than calling a meeting at the end of the month under the golden panelings of a palatial ministry. You can imagine that in similar circumstances, my minister would already have been holding talks on the grounds. Mr. Barrett's total inability to react was such that the Prime Minister ended up disowning her by sending there a cross-ministry mission headed by a high civil servant. For almost a week, our national media were totally silent. What is certain is that our overseas fellow countrymen are unfortunately accustomed to the condescending of pseudo-elites from continental France, who only talk about our remote overseas territories in terms of imperial confettis or republic's dances. And they know that, as Daniel Maximin once wrote, these are the only regions of France about which some ask, how much do they cost or how much do they yield? The fact is, dear friends, that for 10 years successive administrations have done the least they could possibly do for overseas France. It was cruel and it has become guiltily insufficient. I was in French Guiana a few weeks ago. I saw and understood in Cayenne and Saint-Laurent-du-Maroni that our fellow countrymen from Guyana are fed up. They are just like us. They are fed up with mass immigration. They are fed up with the insecurity it generates. When 50% of the carceral population in Guyana are foreign nationals, they are fed up with Guyana having become the most crime-ridden département of France. They are fed up with the public service saturation and not being able to access the overwhelmed health services. I do not want to agree to the blockades held by these grassroots collectives. Nevertheless, I understand them. And to all overseas French citizens, I want to say, it is time at last for overseas France to be treated with equal measure to the opportunity she represents for our whole country. I want to say that I will appoint a first-rank minister for overseas territories and maritime issues, who will start to fight against immigration and crime in Guyana, and for economic development through a real plan to render accessible the different parts of this region. Thank you. Thank you to you to allow me to tell them that even though they are far from our eyes, our overseas fellow countrymen shall never remain far from our hearts and will receive all the state's attention that they deserve.